just what the distillation initiator needs. I'm glad we could find one in such good condition.
Core rotation complete. Resuming standard awareness.
Just need to replace the crystal without causing irreversible damage. No problem. It worked? I mean, of course it worked. I knew what I was doing the entire time. We have but one more task ahead. The geotic dynamo that fuels the galvanic engine needs to be replaced. However, it's located in the regulation chamber, which is... What? What a silly question. It's malfunctioning, of course. Just like the repair factotums. The Apostles didn't even know there were issues when they... Oh, I'm certain you'll have to. But trust me when I say that factotum is doing more harm than good. If we let it be, then it will just destroy all the repairs I've set into place. I'm sure of it. I'm very certain. If we don't fix the galvanic engine, then there's a strong possibility that the entire system will shut down. Just stay out here until you've dealt with our little friend, just as a precaution. looks like the galvanic engine that I'm going to fix now. Right now. Here I go. And this goes here, and then, of course, this goes over here, and if I just put this here, it's fixed? It's fixed! Yes! My plan worked. The Clockwork Apostles will have to accept me now. Can't believe we were actually able to do it. The halls of regulation are up and running again. Our repairs won't hold forever, but I should be able to maintain there's absolutely no need to concern yourself about that. I assure you, all that matters is that the Brass Fortress will have water tonight because of... Isn't there some other adventure you should be... Oh, Tilly, why did you have to open your stupid... Well, I suppose that I had a connection at all? Exactly so. It seems dark elf blood runs a little deeper here than they'd like to admit. I found the schematics in a public depository and decided to research the mechanics in order to build upon my tech. I really am sorry about that. I panicked when you showed up. Positive. I have a far better understanding of the mechanics now, and within a few weeks, I'll have a permanent repair. Isn't there
he'll select me for sure. I can feel the gears rotating in my direction. Welcome, friend. Come, join our celebration on this glorious and special... Today is the day that Lector Naril declares a new apprentice. I've improved my botanical knowledge and skills considerably since the selection day last year. The Everwound Wellspring, a wondrous oasis in this mechanical desert. Sotha Seal created the place, but the Lector made plants grow in the metallic soil. Once every year. In the past, the wellspring was accessible to everyone. Lector Naril sealed the place and started the tradition of the annual harvest and apprentice selection.
The Everwound Wellspring welcomes you as its new apprentice. The rest of you, come in and claim your portion of the harvest.
Thank the great gear. Let's go inside.
Totems will continue to gather the harvest and bring the containers here. In the meantime, use the lift and come see our oasis. I always share a few words of advice with the hopefuls that weren't selected before I take the new apprentice under my wing. The Everwound, you must be one of the new arrivals I've heard so much about. Everything in the Clockwork City, the soil, the flora, because Sotha Seal set the wellspring in this metallic desert and blessed it with a reservoir of water. An exceedingly rare thing in the Clockwork City. He planned to create an oasis, but moved on to other projects before the time. We had water and a pressing need. It didn't take me long to figure out how to make actual living plants grow in this artificial soil. Now, save your questions and let me show you some of the wonders of the Everwound. Come, everyone! Follow me into the viewing garden. My friends, the wellspring enjoyed a bountiful harvest. Let me show you how we accomplish our miracles. Simulated sunlight allows our trees to produce fruit sweeter than the orchards of Vardenfell. These pipes carry an alchemical solution that nourishes our plants. factotums harvest the plants and pack them in special containers to keep them fresh before we distribute them to Clockwork City. We take clippings from the most robust plants to produce stronger varieties. Someday, we'll be able to grow plants outside these walls. Every season, we share our bounty and select a new apprentice from among the novice apostles. By the way, where did my new apprentice wander off to? My new apprentice, Sherazar. Where did she disappear to? And have two novices wandering around the oasis unsupervised? Very well. Go find Sherazar and return to me with all due... That's a complicated subject, and one better left to the actual apprentices. Suffice it to say that the process involves water... That would require an even more complicated answer. Suffice it to say that we use lenses, crystals, and a unique power source to create life-giving light similar... My program provides an opportunity to work outside the Clockwork Basilica. Lets them try their hand at something different. Besides, keeping the wellspring going requires a lot of bodies. You'd be surprised at what's required to make my plants grow.
This was supposed to be a special day, but it turned out all wrong. There's something... Sometimes a gear slips or a cylinder throws a piston. This place reminds me of that. Specifically, I saw my old friend Shirhari down one of the corridors. When I try to go... That's the question, isn't it? And it's the reason I have a bad feeling all of a sudden. Why restrict where an apprentice can go? And why refuse to let me talk to Shirhari? It makes no sense. No, I'd rather speak to Shirhari. I know her. I trust her. Lector Naril? He's still a stranger to me. Shirhari.
Sherazar. Oh, this one purrs at the sight of you.
It's so good to see you too, Shirhari.
You shouldn't wander the wellspring unsupervised. It's dangerous. The factotums don't respond well to visitors. A new apprentice? Really? But what does Shirhari know of such things? This one works in the dark and grows fungi, molds, and moss. Shirhari doubts there's anything sinister going on. So the seal blessed the wellspring with water and Lector Naril's apprentice. Sherazar is the first new apprentice to enter the wellspring in years. The Lector stopped selecting apprentices after poor Cathal's accident. At least, that's how this one... Idrono works with Shihari. He attempts to grow non-fungal plant life in harsh conditions. Since you're going to speak to him, could you bring along some of my mushrooms? But not the poisonous ones. He hates those. Idrono will be grateful for the fungi samples, even if he seems agitated. He gets that way during the harvest. Make sure to bring him safe ones, though. My notes can help you identify the various types we grow. This one only knows what Lector Naril told her. He said that Cathal injured himself while performing an experiment. He never recovered.
Memory artifact registered. Cognitive maintenance required.
This is Lecter Naril talking to you through this speaking tube. I assume that you and Sherazar have been exploring the wellspring. We've built something impressive here. Other apprentices? Oh, you mean Sherazar's predecessors. The ones selected during the past few harvests. About certainly. Just as soon as you report to me. I must complete Sherazar's orientation and training. Some parts of the wellspring can be extremely dangerous. I'll expect...
That was a brave deed, rescuing Sandras.
A new apprentice? How curious. And are those samples of Shiahari's mushrooms? Excellent. I've been anxious to taste the new harvest. Texture similar to... Interesting question. As far as I know, no new apprentices have entered the wellspring since Garthel's accident. But I have a bigger concern. At least... Of course, Lecter Narl tasked each of us with a different experiment. I'm attempting to grow plants without the benefit of the simulated sunlight. Lecter Narl developed it using techniques he still refuses to share. The simulated sunlight provides nourishing energy that makes most of the plants we grow thrive. Not my plants, mind you. Oh, no, that would ruin the experiment. Otoan's been with Lecter Narl the longest. She might know something more. You'll need to cross my garden to reach her. Just watch out for the blasted fabricants. They keep eating my plants and clogging. I just don't understand why my plants won't grow while Shihari and Otoan have no trouble making things bloom. It's an absolute annoyance. And so are those fabricants. Feel free to smash them. What's to tell? Gathal died. Happened in Lecter Narl's private workshop. We're not allowed in there anymore. Now let me think. I need to figure out how to make my plants do something.
Speaking tube this instant. This is Lecter Naril talking to you through this speaking tube. I had such high hopes for you, Sherazar. I see. And does this have to do with the endeavors of the wellspring? I suppose I can't fault you for your initiative and willingness to get right to work. I just prohibited. That's a harsh word. No, we don't have any restrictions in the wellspring. But Sherazar will have a better understanding of how things work here once you... Did he? My workshop isn't restricted. It's just... private. You must see the necessity.
All functions are working as intended.
Interruptions are counterproductive. The seventh law of gears teaches us that. Well, since you've already distracted me, you might as well tell me what you want. Idrono. His experiment was doomed from the beginning. You can't grow plants without a source of nourishing light. My plants thrive thanks to the use of Lecter Narrow's simulated sunlight. That was the practice until Gathal died. Then the Lecter sealed his private workshop and gave us these experiments to conduct while he perfected his simulated sunlight. It makes our annual harvest possible. If there were other apprentices, I'd know. I suppose Lecter Naril could have more apprentices toiling in his private workshop. He keeps numerous secrets, so what's a few more? You can enter the workshop through the busted vent over there. Ignorance of his rules might grant you some leeway. Lecter Naril's private workshop is restricted, but I don't expect you to find anything. If he catches you snooping around, feign ignorance and beg forgiveness. What's the worst he could do? Lecter Naril is one of the most respected clockwork apostles currently operating within Lord Set's great experiment. Every novice wants to become his apprentice. That's a long and complicated tale. The short form is that he was one of Sotha Seal's most trusted warrior scholars when our great master abandoned the wellspring. An unfortunate factotum accident happens occasionally. Sometimes the poor contraptions just get overheated and explode. That's why I prefer to work at a significant distance from the machines.
Disappointed, Sherazar. Stop this foolishness and return to me this instant.
Lecter Narl's a clockwork apostle. He must keep meticulous notes. We need to examine them. The story of how the Everwound Wellspring was created. Lecter Narl picked up where Sotha Seal left off. The early experiments failed, even though Lecter Narl perfected his alchemical solution. I wonder how they solved the problem. seem to make it last very long. I wonder how they finally got the simulated sunlight to nourish the plants. The source of the simulated sunlight is the life force of the missing apprentices? That's horrible. We need to see what's inside Narwhal's private workshop. That machine! Is that the inductor? The apprentices! It sucked the life out of them! This is the Lecter's simulated sunlight inductor. And just as we read in his notes, he's using the life force of the most recent apprentices to power the device. Sotha Seal would never approve of this. No. If we leave, Lecter Narul will just use Shirhari or one of the others. We have to do something. We have to stop this madness. People shouldn't be turned into plants.
So now you know the secret of the wellspring. You see your role in our grand plan. Time is short. The life force of the previous apprentices is nearly depleted.
Why do you
There's nothing to be done for these poor apprentices. The Inductor has drained every drop of life from their bodies. But what of Lector Naril? He cloaks. The Lector lied. He tricked the apprentices and killed them. But the machine does allow the plants to grow and provides food for the Clockwork City. I wonder, what if, yes, one life a season in exchange for a bountiful harvest? What could be more noble than sacrificing your life to feed the hungry? And I'll continue to work with the remaining apprentices. Maybe we can...
How horrible! Those apostles, all dead?
Not just dead, drained of life to create the simulated sunlight.
I assume we won't be the ones volunteering this time.
Sherazar has the right idea, and I offer myself as the first sacrifice.
Idrono, no!
It's only logical. I'm an apprentice whose experiments never worked out. Allow me to contribute in another way.
Very well. Let's go make the necessary preparations.
One death to avoid many. This one still doesn't like how this all turned out.